Everyone. Thanks for joining today. Power Platform Finance session on impactful financial reporting with Val Q. So, as always, we'll just go through kind of a brief overview with Power Platform Finance, and if anyone's new, welcome to the community. So, the idea behind this is a community, physical and virtual events where for finance professionals and people working in the finance sector. Or interested in finance to learn how to use Power Platform to be able to make their processes more efficient and to do kind of nice storytelling with data and things like that. So Power BI, Power Apps, and Microsoft Flow or Power Automate, sorry, and Power Virtual Agents is soon to come as well. So right now the focus has been primarily on Power BI, and I think there's some really good stuff that we want to explore with Power BI as well. And we also are going to get some things with Power Apps and Power Automate to look at how those can feed into finance as well. So a bit of background to who we are. So let me put this out of the way. We've got myself, Chris, who's on the line, and Naveen. So we've been running this. So Chris works with me at Altius, and Naveen's one of my friends from a few years ago. So we've set up this community kind of a few months ago just to start running webinars and events and things. So we're running them kind of fortnightly at the moment, and welcome any feedback and things as well about what you guys want to see. So I'll come on to feedback in a minute because there is a feedback form. So sorry, my screen seems to have frozen. Just a quick update in terms of what's new on powerplatformfinance.com. So we've got the recording from Andrew's session, so Zebra BI from 2 weeks ago, where we went through top 10 tips and tricks. It's a really, really good session. I went through the session afterwards and did some editing, and I've counted 10 tips, but then also 10 bonus tips as well. So there's actually 20 tips in there that I counted. So go through and have a look at those. And also we've got Chris's article on column level security, so methods to try and achieve column level security in Power BI. So obviously row level security is standard in there, and it's the way that security is managed in Power BI. But if you wanted to kind of show particular column values, so say you had NI number and it was a sensitive data field, so some people could see it if you were compliant and some people couldn't. And Chris has gone through some ways to use row level security to achieve that. So do go and check that out if you haven't already. What else have we got? So in terms of feedback, so if you could just make a note of that URL, and if you could please fill that in for when either towards the end of the session or just after the session, and I'll post a link to it as well in the chat. Please, make sure it'd be really useful to get some feedback on these events and understand what works, what doesn't, what you want to see next. And also what we're going to do, there's a question on there about which teams you want to join. So we haven't managed to set this up yet. I'm just working through some technical challenges with teams. But the idea is that what we want to do is create more of a community around this as well. So to have that interactive space, so not just the webinars, but also somewhere where you could log into, have a channel on Teams where people could ask questions if you get stuck on working with stuff. So we're going to set up a team for financial reporting, and invite Andrej to that hopefully as well, and then also one for kind of focused on modeling and planning, which Val Q guys will be part of as well. So again, if you're trying out these visuals, please go ahead and indicate on the form, then you can join that team and get some help with that. Chris, did you want to present? Or did you do that by mistake?
Oh, sorry, accident. Apologies.
No worries. Just a quick announcement as well. So I just saw this come up on LinkedIn this morning. So XViz, and probably there's a few of you who've been using Power BI will probably have come across these visuals before. There's a whole suite of visuals by XViz, and it's actually the same company as ValQ. So Visual BI, they own both sets of products, and I think Harish and Rajiva will touch on that a little bit later today. But I saw an announcement on LinkedIn today that it would be great to share with you all, which is that XViz Pro Suite is now unlocked and free for Power BI Desktop. So I put a link again to the chat. So if you joined late, I'll put it back in again as well, where you can see the blog article on this. So these XViz visuals are really, really good as well. And again, I've put in the chat, so next event. So what we're looking at doing is next time is to do kind of a full day workshop, and I appreciate this will be a little bit challenging virtually. So these are similar to what we've done last year in the Microsoft Reactor in London. So what we're actually going to do is, if anyone who did attend that last event, we're going to make it very similar from that. So it's actually going to be a bit of a combination of the first two physical events that we ran. So the first one, we did that session that we started with myself and Amy doing the role play. So I've got a recording of that I did separately, and we'll go through some of that, those recordings, and make that a bit interactive. And then we'll go through that financial statement income build. So that same income statement that we were looking at. So we can, if you guys want to have a look at it, it's at aka.ms/PBI income statement. That's what we'll go through in the workshop. So we'll break out into virtual rooms, have a go at trying to build some of this stuff, and then come back and regroup and look at learnings or review some of those. There's also something, again, we want to keep this quite flexible, quite easygoing. But in the afternoon, we want to actually, if you've got some data, some examples that you're working on, feel free to bring them and share them, and then we can kind of go through them as a group. So as I say, what we wanted to do is kind of have a workshop that's quite involved, quite community driven, and hopefully you'll get some benefit out of that. So have a look on powerplatformfinance.com. We've limited it to only kind of 36 people, so thinking like 6 groups of 6 in terms of the teams. So we want to keep it quite small, quite focused, and just let's see how this goes virtually. If this goes well, we could look to run maybe some more ambitious stuff later on as well. And again, in the chat, in the Teams chat, I've put a link to the actual PBI Viz file. So if you can download that to your machine, and then in Power BI Desktop, go to Import from File on the visuals and import that PBI Viz file. And then there's also, you can enter in the license key, which I've also put in the Teams chat, and then you can access all of those enterprise features for free for up to 40 days with that. And on that, I'll hand over to Rajifa or Harish, whichever one of you are going to present first.
Everyone is able to see my screen right now? Perfect.
Yep.
So let me just give a brief introduction about ourselves and what we do for the industry before getting into ValQ. So we have our services wing and the products wing, where we do a lot of innovations. With the services wings, we are SAP partners and Microsoft Gold partners, and we do even work on Snowflakes, all this stuff. Then when it comes to the products wing, we have our own set of products coming up like ValQ, XViz, and we have Power BI Hub, so on, which I'll just explain you slowly. Okay, so ValQ is basically the one which we'll be looking into today, and we'll be spending some time on XViz. I'll just take one of the important charts as an example, then I'll just help you to walk through the other visuals, how you can go through them. Then we have a BI Hub, which is more like a BI catalog. When a company has a lot of BI tools with multiple reports staying in different places, BI Hub is the one which will unify all these platforms and help you to have your reports and information at one place. That's what BI Hub does. Then we do have conduct the trainings. Then you can see that we support a lot of customers. Okay, let me just. And these are again additional list of our logos coming up. Then the ValQ. So within ValQ, what can be done? So ValQ is not just a blindly planning tool. Let me just you can use ValQ for planning, simulation, sensitivity analysis, variance analysis, time series, forecasting, budgeting, and even the executive visualizations. And you can work it in combination with Power BI, or you can work it with any other third-party tools together. You'll be seeing some of the examples of ValQ soon. And I would request you to concentrate on the ValQ sessions which we demo today, and you can work on the trainings, and you can use the visual which you downloaded on license key for your reference later on. Okay, let me just come to ValQ. Executive visualizations, which we spoke, business modeling and performance. This is mainly for the business admins. Then value driver modeling, which will help us to make the decisions along with the plans and targets, and which will help us to make more realistic decisions day-to-day life. And simulations and what if analysis, like once we make the decision, we can see what are the other permutations and combinations we have by changing our drivers and see the real-time results of how would our output look with different types of combinations. Okay, then we have the scenario modeling and comparisons to come out with the best decision. And we do have sensitivity analysis coming up, which would help us to identify the key input drivers which would impact our objectives or outputs, and on which we can concentrate and optimize them. And we have this variance analysis. Once we have our actual performance ready, we can compare with our benchmarks, or we can compare with our plans and see where we stand. And we do provide a fast way of identifying the culprits and make sure that these are corrected in the next plan. Then we have the financial planning and budgeting, which we'll be seeing in the demo now. And ValQ is a platform which is very flexible. So you can do your operations or you can do your FP&A. It's up to you, and we do provide all functional support and all calculations are built with the logics within ValQ, and we have our own embedded calculation engine and our own functions, which will help you to build the models very flexibly. And you can do financial budgeting and planning, or you can do demand forecasting, inventory replenishment planning, or sales and operations planning. I mean, it's unlimited. Then you can even do reforecasting and forecasting. When I say forecasting, it's more like a predictive analytics using some statistical methods. And we have some inbuilt statistical methods, and we have more statistical methods coming over, which you'll be getting, which you'll get to know soon as we go on. Okay. So what's the main advantage of ValQ? It's a self-service tool. It's designed for the business, and it's designed by the business guys. Like we all work on FP&A, and I've been working in FP&A for past 15 years. I've worked on SAP BPC, Anaplan, Cognos planning, Hyperion, all these planning tools, and even the consolidation tools. And I know the cost of implementation, the recovery time of that, and when are we going to break even. And believe me, ValQ is very good value addition to our company, irrespective of what we have there. And it break evens pretty quickly. And it cuts down the reliance on everyone, because you'll see how quick the information can be identified and you can use it to make your decisions. And it's visual, quick, intuitive on the UI side. And again, as usual, it's a business-oriented self-service tool. So that means you need not depend on someone else or IT, or even you need not have coding skills to use it. You just need to have some Excel skills. That would also be sufficient to start with. Okay. So let us get into the demo mode. Okay. So this is the Power BI screen, and we support ValQ on SAP platform, which is done on SAP Lumira and on the Power BI. So we'll be going through the Power BI version now. So in order to import any third-party visuals in Power BI, I can just come over and import from my app source. Within the marketplace, you can type in ValQ, search, you'd get it. But the one which is shared with you is a more advanced one with the license key, the enterprise edition. So I would suggest you to download that along with the key and just come over here and import it from the file and select the VBIDs file which was shared across, then open the same so that the same file comes over here. Okay. Once we have the file and the visual is ready, let me click on this visual to activate the same. Perfect. So now the initial view gives us like what are we capable of. Then we have a next step, like assign a value field to start ValQ. So let me just assign a value. Forecast. Perfect. So I'll be explaining you this data file and my model as we go on. Before that, I would like to explain you the ValQ initial steps and what we have as inbuilt for a new. Once I add this, you can see that I have a screen where I can create a model. So while I'm creating a model, I can create a simple model, I can create an advanced model, or I can even import the configuration from my existing models and I can apply the same. For example, I have a model built in the previous year. So I'll be using the same file format for the next year or current year. So I need not build the tree from scratch. I'll just click on this import and I'll just import the configuration. Then I have my tree ready once my file is loaded into Power BI. So we'll get into those details soon. Let us first concentrate on open sample model. So once I click on open sample model, right now we have a sample model for a mining industry and a P&L for small and medium sized business. We have personal finance and simple sales projection. All these samples will help you to build your trees or start on ValQ. And you can even get into valq.com and you can spend on your time. We have a proper links which I'll take you through post this demo. And you can see the webinars or how to get started. We have step-by-step approaches with all the sample files and example videos which will help you to build your own models. And believe me, business and customers come out with better models because they know the business better, and this is business friendly tool which we have. And this even fills the gap, and this even takes care of the forecasting capabilities for those Power BI users who are very happy with the data visualization and who are very happy with the kind of analysis they are going to make, but they still do not have the opportunity to edit their numbers or make changes to the numbers and see how they work. So that will be taken care by ValQ. Okay, that's where we are growing. So let me take a sample file. Like I have a P&L for medium, small and medium sized business. And remember that right now, whatever we are going to see is more of the version which is available as soon as you download the visual. And later on, I'll be applying the license key so that we can see what are the additional features available once you have a licensed enterprise version. Okay? Perfect. So now you can see I have opened a sample, and this is a simple P&L sample. I'll just walk you through this. Like I have my net profit, taxes, earnings before tax. Let me just minimize this pane because we'll be coming back to that pane. Then I have my operating profit, gross profit, expenses. So my P&L going down till the GL account, and all my chart of accounts building up till my net profit. And my line of business is coming over here. So this is a starting point for any P&L, which is very simple one. Then you can see commission sales, gross sales, net sales, so on. Okay. Then before getting into these details, what is important is that you need to observe that I have 4 important user interfaces available, and we do have business logic for this. So what do they play? Model. So what kind of users would interact with model? All the business admins, super users will make the model ready. That's the reason if you see the intended audience for this presentation was any C-level employees, the business modelers, the regular business users, the finance guys, anyone is eligible because you can find value in this irrespective whether it's a finance model, non-finance model, or any value added model, or if you want to even take any decisions related to anything, it just helps him to make those decisions. So in the model section, I make my tree like the chart of accounts I built here, and I can even insert multiple companies, which we'll see in the sample, then have the same chart of accounts flowing across the multiple companies. And once my structure is ready, then I say, okay, my planners are ready to use it. So this would become a template to my planners where they can plan their numbers and build it. And once the planners are ready with this plan numbers, perfect, I have my numbers ready. So my operation guys know what to achieve now. So this is more like a benchmark to operation guys. So share this plan across to operation guys. Then operation guys would be working on the ground level on the day-to-day basis on, and they get more realistic factors, especially the external factors. Internal factors will be on control. So based on those realistic factors, the operation guys can simulate and see what is the best available approach for them to achieve the planned numbers or improvise the same. So that's what we do in the simulate section. I'll be taking you through each section. Then once the actuals come in, perfect. Now I have my actuals, I have my plan, I have my benchmark. So how did I perform? That's what we do in Analyze. We just get into analyze screen, then say, okay, how did my sales perform? How much did I save in my cost? Is it in line with my plan or my objective? Perfect. If not, who are the major culprits which impacted me? Are these external factors or internal factors? How can I optimize them in the coming plans? How can I make my plan more realistic? So the analyze helps you to do that part. Okay. Then we have this data series settings, general sections and all to help us to personalize this UI in such a way that it will help you to use the trees in the fastest way possible, which I'll be walking you through. So when I take you the next example. So before walking through the next example, let us see what is possible. Okay. So I'll be taking a more simple model to explain the functionalities of ValQ, because understanding the functionalities of ValQ is more important right now. So let me go to the initial page where we have an inbuilt model. Perfect. So how was this model built? So let us just understand this model. Let me get into my data model. So basically we build this model in a columnar format. The data is built. So ValQ supports you the crosstab and the columnar. Both the formats are supported by ValQ. Okay. So in this section, I have just uploaded the Excel, but you can upload any data and create your own data models from any data source which is supported by Power BI. But what is important is that once you upload the data into Power BI, make sure that your data model or the final table from where the data is fed into ValQ is very similar to this format, okay, which is a tabular format. And what do I have here? I have my company details, department details, accounts, time period, my historical data till 2015 from 2019. Then I have my budget and forecast, some sample data in, using which I build the tree. Okay. Let me come back here. So let me just take the tree. So now if you see right, I have my budget, forecast added here. Then I have my historical data coming up here. Then in the structure, the category, I have company and accounts based on which the tree structure is created. Okay. So now I have my company. Perfect. Within the company, I have my total revenue and costs. Then I have my sales coming up, other revenue, and this is a small chart of account which we have, and my costs coming up. The idea of using a smaller one was that it makes you to understand ValQ a lot better. That's the main idea of having a smaller model. Okay. So we have this. So my structure is ready. So I would like to make some changes to my structure. So what can I make? Let me just come over here to make any changes to the structure. Let me unlock this. Perfect. I have these options available. So let me just add a small one. Let me come over here. Add child node. I'll say margin. Okay. Let me come to configuration. Now I say I'll use formulas. The reason I want to show you is that you can see I have the formula list coming over here, and these are all inbuilt in ValQ. All these functions. Then I have all my nodes coming up for easiness of using them while creating the logics. And I can pull in data from any series for comparison purpose or creating the KPIs or creating a ratios. I can use this, but it's very flexible. So let me just start this. And basically my total revenue minus cost, which is my margin, divided by my total revenue gives me my margin percentage for company A. Perfect. Then let me come over here further down. So time aggregation. So in the month of January, I had 20% profit. In the month of February, I had 25% of profit. So what is my profit by end of the quarter? It should not be sum of it, but it should basically take my total revenue for the quarter, subtract the total cost for the quarter, then divide by total revenue for the quarter. That's my actual margin percentage for the quarter. So that means the time aggregation cannot be sum, like 20%, 25%, 20%. So my quarter cannot become 65%. It should be more like a weighted average of that or a formula. So let us take the time aggregation as formula. So I do have an option of having the last. So basically, when we have the balance sheet accounts, right, we use the time aggregation as last. Or I do have the option of taking the sum of periods, which happens for all the P&L items. Then I have a last where I can use my head count. Like whatever is my head count for end of the year or end of the quarter would be my head count for the end of the period or quarter. So there I can use cumulative. Cumulative is mostly used for making some ratios or identifying the daily sales outstanding, such kind of measures. Okay, now let me say formula. Perfect. Then I'll come to values. So how should I scale it? Should I scale my values based on the report selection made, which you'll be soon seeing? Or I can have my own percentage standalone, irrespective of the scaling selected in the report. I should have this percentage as it's a margin. Okay, how many decimal points would I like to have my margin for? Right now I'll leave it here. Let me say finish. Perfect. Now you can see how easy it is to create the additional load in ValQ. Perfect. So this way we can change the structures, and there are a few more things in the settings which I'll come soon to help you understand. So let us get into the plan so that we have our structures ready, our formulas ready. Let us get into the plan section. So when you come to the plan section, you see there's a grid available. So this is not just a grid to input your numbers. This grid is built with a lot of intelligence, which you'll see through, and we do have a lot of functionality happening within this grid. So in order to use the plan section, let me lock my structure. Why do I lock my structure? Because we do a lot of allocations, spreads, and also my inputs, outputs, and my ratios or weights used for doing all these allocations cannot change in between the plans. So we locked it. So let me delete this. Let me create a new one. So let me say like 2020 forecast as a new one. And let me start. I can copy the existing information and create a replica of the same and start editing my numbers. But what I'll be doing right now is more advanced, and which is one of our USPs. It's more like we do planning and we use the statistical methods to do the auto prediction or auto forecast also. So let me select the empty series. Perfect, I have an empty series with all my chart of accounts coming up. So let me click on this overall result. Click on this auto forecast. Okay, perfect. Since I selected the overall result and month from Jan to December, automatically my pop-up identified where I should do my projection. And the best part is that once I select the parent and once I select the data series, like let me take my 3 years historical information. So once I select this, it will take the information for all the children, the whole tree, and it generates the numbers. Or you have the flexibility of using different methods for different companies. For example, company A might use one method, company B might use another method. So we can do the prediction anyways. So we have advanced options which is locked right now. And once I put in my license key, you can see what are the advanced options I have. Okay, so wherever I have the lock option, that means it's logged and it's available only for the enterprise users. So to start with, I am using the free version so that you understand what is available in free. And we do provide a lot of functionality in the free versions also. Okay. So now let me click on my preview because we are doing the automatic forecast. So this is the inbuilt calculation engine within ValQ which helps us to predict 3 types of numbers. One is the optimized growth, balanced growth, or even the conservative approach. These are the 3 approaches we have. And you can see once I change the approach, the numbers change accordingly. So in my optimized approach, my 2040 forecast is 87 million. And once I overroll that 87 million, you can see what is my previous year value, 2019. What is the difference between that? Then you can see the trend line used here is basically the trend line of average of last 3 years. But you can have a trend line very similar to 2019 or very similar to 2018 with the increased value. But it's available in the enterprise. Okay, now let me just start. Then you can fine tune these numbers as required. Okay, I can create another series, but you can see since this is not an enterprise version, I'm allowed to only create 1 series at a time. But still, all the other functionalities are working. So let us just start doing our forecast. So observe very carefully one thing. If I click on the total cell, you can see I have two spread methods coming, weight and equals. But if I click on a month, see the spread methods which are active change. I have trend and copy to. So it all depends like whether I'm on an aggregated level or a granular level. And based on that, the spread methods get active. Okay. Then okay, I'm ready to do my plan, but I would prefer to see my numbers in thousands rather than seeing them in millions. Not a problem. Let me come out to simulate. We have one control panel which helps us to make the settings changes and apply that to plan, analyze everywhere. So let me select that my scaling should be in thousands, not in millions. Perfect. Come back. I have my numbers in thousands. Okay. So I need to increase my numbers. So let me do something. The best part of this grid is that it supports bottom-up planning and top-down planning. That means you can make change in any level and it applies to all the children and the parents wherever the node is impacting. Okay. So let me just start. Okay, let me go to company B. Perfect. Let me do something very interesting. Okay, before I start this, let me explain you what are the other options we have. I have something called hold and release. So when I'm making a change in the parent, I can say, okay, this change should impact only specific children. Perfect. That is possible. Then I can even have a note to take note of what changes were made. Perfect. Then I have this view allocation history. It's more like an audit where I can see what was made and what type of changes were made. And I can even reset that by one step, or I can reset my whole of the allocations, which we'll see soon. Okay. Now what I'll do is that I'll go to my total revenue and I'll make a small change. How to make a change? I can just do a F2 or come out this bar. Then I'll say, okay, right now, let me increase this by 2 million. So you can see ValQ understands 2M as 2 million, 2K as 2000, or I can type in the whole value as it is in the absolute value number, and ValQ even supports percentages. So right now I'll say, okay, spread it based on the existing weights, or I can even spread it equally just to make sure, understand how it looks. So let me select this, then click on equals, then apply. Now you can see all my numbers are equally spread across. Then I say, okay, this doesn't look good. Something is wrong. I can just come back over here, come over here and restore back. I'm back to where I am. Okay, now let us do the actual budgeting. So what I'll do right now is that I'll increase the margin by 5%, let us assume. So, but whatever increase I make should impact only my actual operating revenue, that is my sales activities, but not anything else. Okay, not a problem. Let me select the other revenue, lock it. Okay, sales is getting impacted. So what is my operating cost? Cost of sales and support costs. So let me lock my other costs and rent. Perfect, lock them. So I use the shift and down arrows to select multiple cells and lock it. Or you can select all the cells, lock it and unlock whatever is selected. So you can use any of the methods, very flexible. Perfect, I have locked all of this. Now what you should observe is that once I make a change here, the impacted cells turn into yellow. Then once I hover on those cells, I can see what was the old value, what is the new value, and what is the impact on the old and new value. Okay, perfect. So let me click on this company, click on weight this time. So this time what I'll do, instead of using the absolute value, I'll increase it by 10%. Okay, leave the series and node as it is. We'll come to these options later. Apply. Perfect. Now you can see my company A is completely white because I did not make any changes in company A. But when it comes to company B, I made change at the topmost level, but I locked my other cells. So let me, if I unlock this, they're still white. And other revenue is locked. So if I hover over it, you see there's no change in the value. But let me hover over the sales value. Now you can see the old value was like 8.5 million. The new value is 8.8 million. This increase in 224K. Perfect. So like the similarly, you can see what has happened with my expenses because of my bettering of the revenue. Perfect. Now I'm done with this. Let me have a small note. Increased by 10%, impacting operational activities. Perfect. So let us come over here, unlock this because I'm done with my steps. release. Perfect. So let us see what are the other options available. So let me come to my cost of sales. How is my cost of sales looking? Okay, when my sales is 8.8 million, my cost of sales is 2.8 million. When my sales is 8 million, my cost of sales is 3 million. Okay, I did my prediction right, but there's something wrong. Like my cost of sales is not in line with my sales. Okay, I'm happy with my annual amount, but I need to make sure that my cost of sales is in line with sales. Yes, let us make that change. Let me come over here, cost of sales, click on the weight. I'll not make any changes because I'm happy with the analyzed number. But what I'm not happy is that the way it is spread across the period is where I'm not happy. So what I have is that, okay, spread the cost of sales across the periods, but when you are using the ratio, make sure that you use sales of the company B. Perfect. And apply this. Done. Now you can see where the cost was impacting very high, I have reduced it accordingly. And now it's in line with my sales. Perfect. I'm ready with my numbers. Okay, now let me come to my support costs. So if you see my support costs, they are increasing suddenly. But what I would prefer is that, okay, my product is very familiar. Now customers know about my product. So they will not trouble my support team a lot. So what I would do, right, okay, first 2 quarters till June, let me leave it as it is. But from July onwards, right, I would like to see a reduction in trend wise. Okay, what I'll do now, I'll click on this July expense, click on the trend, and what is the reduction? 2% reduction. So let me say 2% and apply. Okay. So what has happened, right? I said 2 and it is increasing. That means I did a mistake. Okay, let it not a problem. Let us come back. As I said, you can reset any step. Restore the step. Perfect. I'm back. So again, let me correct this. Let me click on the trend and I'll say -2. Apply. So you can see for a planner how flexible it is. Then I have this copy to where I can just select the amount and just copy it across the periods. So maybe you can see my rent should always be fixed, but I have uneven numbers coming up. I can just click on this. Okay, before making the change, I want to have my rent as 8.8 million. Perfect. Or I can say 800K. You can see all these are supported. Okay, then I'll say copy the same thing across the periods. Perfect. It has copied. How optimize my plan? Then whatever changes I have made, that has been tracked down. You can see all the changes. Perfect. Close this. Okay, I'm ready with my plan numbers. Let us go to simulate section now. Okay, so you can see how flexible it is too. We do have an option of auto prediction using different statistical methods where we can predict the numbers. Then once our numbers are available, we do have an option of changing the numbers and then having them, and the changes are more logical because we have a lot of spread options available, which makes those changes more logical for us, right? So, and I can have multiple series available once I add the license key, which we'll add and have a look. Okay, then coming to my simulate section. Now you can see in the simulate section, I have a tree. Well, then I have the scenarios coming up. Then I have the submodels, the time periods, the value displayed, the KPIs, key inputs, constraints. These are empty. I have a reason for keeping them empty. I just wanted to showcase you how easy it is to add these KPIs, constraints, everything. So what are my key inputs? So anything can be my key input. Like, let me assume rent is my key input, for example. Okay. So if I need to get into rent, normally what would happen? This is a small tree, still fine, but I need to go through the tree and come over here and click and make a change. But if I have my list of key inputs coming over here, I can just click them and directly make the changes. You'll see them how. And similarly KPIs, if I have to observe any of my KPIs, I can just click on the KPI and come over here. And constraints. Constraints are something which are like external factors or those factors on which I do not have any control. But what I have is that I can say, okay, what is my affordability? Affordability is more like what is my maximum affordability and what is the minimum available optimized cost in the market. So I'll take the combination of that available optimized lowest cost in market, that's my affordability, and I'll create a threshold telling this is my minimum limit and this is maximum limit, which should not cross that. If I cross that, a warning would come over here. Let us add the constraints also into this. Okay, it's very easy to add. Let us make it more personalized. Okay, then if you come over down, right, I can see this in my tree view or I can see it in a table view. It's a lot of finance guys like, with a trend line coming up here and a baseline value, which is my forecast value, and a comparison value, and what's the variance and the variance percentage. At one look, you can see everything. Perfect. I can go back to my tree view. I have a full view where the availability is large, a standard view where the node size is small, but it has all the details like the value, the KPIs, which we'll understand. So if I have the minimum value, I just have one KPI of that node and the value coming up. Okay, perfect. So before understanding this tree, let us personalize our dashboard here. Perfect. Let us personalize that. Let me come to model, settings, navigation panel, submodels. Okay, I'm happy with these submodels. You'll see what is a submodel. Then let me come over to my key inputs. I'll say okay, sales. Just type in okay, sales, cost of sales. Perfect. I'll leave this as my key inputs. I'll just leave it there. Okay. What are my KPIs? So let me delete my old KPIs. For now, I just created one margin. So let me keep this margin as my KPI. Perfect. Let me come to constraints. Okay, let me add rent as a constraint for company. Perfect. That's it. That's the only change. No coding, no programming, nothing. And you even know while writing the formulas how easy it is today. It's like writing a formula in Excel. Done. Let me come back to my simulate. Let me have a standard view of this. Now you can see I'm doing all of this in a free version. And it's available free lifetime, even before putting my license across. Okay, now we understood this model. Now you can see I have my key inputs coming, my KPIs, my constraints. So I have a rent, but I need to say what is my max and min rent as a constraint. Let us do that. Come to the model, unlock the model. Yes. I have max, and whatever value you write here is the annualized value. So let me write 7.2 million and maybe 12 million max. Perfect. Finish this. Now if you come back, right, again this, you can see what is my min value and max value. Okay. Before playing around this selection, let us understand what is happening with this tree. Okay, so here you can see I have baseline company. Let me select 2019. I see 47 million. Let me select baseline. I see 50 million. So what happens? Right, the main value displayed here is the value which is selected here. Then using this 50.9K. Okay, let me just change the display to millions. So it's easy to communicate. So this 50 millions is basically my baseline value. That's my forecast value. And then I have a full year variance along with the percentage. So this variance is in comparison with my comparison value. So let me take 2019, my historical period, as a comparison value. Okay, perfect. Now you can see there's a difference of 3.1 million with my comparison. That means my 2019 was somewhere around 47 million. So my baseline is 7% better. I'm forecasting it with a 7% growth rate. And for a particular month, it's 4.2. So which month is this showcasing? So right now it's showcasing the first month. Okay, then I have this month variance coming up. These are the details available on the node right now. It has the display value of the selected series. Then I have the full year variance value with the comparison series. I have both the absolute value and the percentage. I have the month value, that would be the first month available here. Then I have month variances. Okay, then what is that? I can see the YTD value, or I'll say, okay, I want to see month value. Now you can see I automatically get a month value, and my KPI, if you see right, from month, my second KPI has turned to FY. Let me just zoom that a bit. So now if you see the details right, I have FY coming in here. Perfect. So if I select full year, you see the variance changes to month. So you can see the intelligence built in the system based on what selections we make. Okay, let me select something called simulation months. What does this simulation months do? So, okay, perfect. I have simulation month selected now. So what I'll do, right, instead of selecting January, I'll assume that, okay, I'm in month of May. So from January till April, I have my actuals. So my simulation should not change them. From May onwards, I have my forecasted numbers in this series. So this series has actuals till April, then May. Then what happens that any simulations I change, the impact happens only on the open months. It does not touch the closed periods. There are no changes there. So this is what happens in the impact. So once we make some changes to the series, then I'll come into the details of the notes and the kind of visualization we have built into this, which is even more interesting. Okay, perfect. So now let me add two scenarios for here. Okay, let me add a third scenario. Now you can see in the free version, we can add only two scenarios. If you want to have more scenarios, we need to put our licensing in. Okay, let me rename them. Perfect. Second option, maybe let me minimize my costs. Perfect. So I have two sections. Then what is this submodels? So let us assume I have pretty huge tree. So this submodel helps me to filter the tree and get into specific one. So now I can concentrate only on company A. If I click on overall, I get the complete result. Or I can concentrate only on company B. And I can even search for the nodes. Like if I want to go to rent, I can directly go to rent B. And I can even zoom in for better visibility and zoom out here. Or I can go to the immediate children level immediately. Or I can go to the topmost level immediately. So you can see the kind of navigation we have built in for faster access and easiness. Okay. Now let me come to the interesting point. Perfect. So what scenario are we in? Max revenue. So what should we do in this scenario? We should increase our revenues normally. So let me come over here. Okay. I'll not do company A right now. Let me start with company B. So now if you see company B revenue, right, the node color is red. Why is that red? That is because if you see the variance, right, the baseline value of my other revenue is 13.4 million. But my historical value was 15 million. That means I'm projecting 1.5 million less. That's the reason it's red. But let us increase this a bit. So if I increase it a bit, now you can see the node color changing. So basically the node color changes based on the comparison with the compared value. So now you can see once I increase my total other revenue by 12%, it is impacting my total revenue, company B, so on. And let me increase my sales also a bit, 6%. Now you can see the nodes turn into green. Okay, I did two simulations. So both the simulations are taken care here. Like I increased my sales of company B and my other revenue of company B. Let me do the same for company A. Let us observe something more. If you see here, right, I have a trend line coming up here. The trend line is basically the trend line for this simulated months. Okay, so let me just increase this by maybe 6%. Now you can see the trend line, the original line is in the dotted one, and the new simulated line with the increased value is on the top line for the comparison purpose. And not only that, let me click on this level of details. Now you can see my actual numbers are not touched or changed, but numbers from May are completely changed. The increase of 6% is impacting this. Okay, I can even click on this and I can even make manual change. I'll say, okay, increase it by 8%. I need not use slider. Close this. Done. My sales is 8% better. Okay, I'll not touch my other revenue here. So you can see I have 3 simulations coming up. I'll showcase you something very interesting. Let me come to overall result, and whatever details you have in this overall result can be seen for any node. So let me click on this. Now you can see the level of details ValQ supports. Okay, so now let me come to the actual months. See, if you see the actual months, right, you just have a baseline value 2099 and 0.1 million difference. Let us come to the month of May, which is in the blue color, basically which says that May is my month where the forecast or simulation is starting. Perfect. Let me come out there. Now if you see, right, the level of details increase. What do I have here? I have my simulated value, my original value, and my comparison, that is the 2019 value. Then it further gives me variance between my simulated value and the 2019 and between my original value and 2019. See the level of details are, and the same level of details are available here. And not only that, you can see the flexibility we have in this. I can go to full screen mode and I can see the details here completely. So you can see a dotted blue line coming up. So anything about dotted blue line is the impact because of simulation. Okay. Let me just come out these 3 lines.
Harish, we've got 5 minutes left.
Yeah, I should be able
We've got
to
a couple of
5
questions.
minutes.
We've got a couple of questions. Do you want to take them now, or do you want to finish what you're doing and then?
It just takes me another 5 minutes. Post that, I'll take the questions. Is that okay?
Okay, sure.
Perfect. Now I can see I have my trend of children all coming here. Okay. Similarly, let us make quick changes for cost minimization. So here what I would do, right? Let me minimize this. I would like to show you something. Rent. So let me increase my rent like 10 million. I have a warning coming here. I'm crossing my threshold. So let me increase my cost of sales also a bit. Perfect. So now you can see in the scenario 1, I have everything related to revenue, scenario 2 related to cost. And which is the best one to go? So if you see something interesting, right? I increase my cost, so it has become worse. So in order to minimize my cost, I have to reduce it. Perfect. So which is the better way to go? So here I have something called scenario comparison. If I click on the scenario comparison and select that, compare, now you can see I have both the versions available, and I'll say I'll go with max revenue. But again, here, this scenario is something which is not practical, and there's a warning here. What is that? That means, okay, my rent I did not simulate practically. So I need to change it because rent is an external factor and I cannot afford that much rent. So you have to make changes. So this gives you more realistic scenarios. Coming back to the analyze section now. So in the analyze section, what's the advantage? We have the baseline as we did, and we have 2019. But the advantage we have here is that I can see different measures. So here I can even see the periodic and quarter to date values. Or I can compare with a different period for the same baseline. So I'll say, okay, compare it with my May and my August. So I can compare different quarters, different periods. Not only that, I can go to the filters and I'll say, like company B. Let me take 3 negative variance identifiers. Perfect. Or I'll say top 5 overall company negative. Okay, all variances. Apply. So now you can see the kind of easiness we have in filtering and identifying the culprits and making the corrections. And this is more better once we have the license key in. How do we put the license key in? Just come out to the general, come to and just paste the key which is provided and save it. This becomes a paid version and it's available for you for 40 days. So this is what we have in the ValQ, and I have different models which I'll showcase if I have time. Post I take over the questions. Okay? Perfect, Rishi. I think we can go through the questions. Then I'll show some more complex models later on.
Sure. Okay. Thanks, Harish. So first question is kind of where is the data for these scenarios stored for the plans? Is it in the, does it write it into the data model, or is it just within the visual? So where's that data where you've got different variables?
Okay. The initial data which is coming to the report is coming from this table. So the data which is fed in the report is coming through the table, but all the simulations and the plan data is stored within the visual. So any plan data like the series which I created is stored within the visual. But what we have is that if I can go to the analyze section, you see I can download this information into Excel and I can update or feed anywhere. Or if I come out to the simulate section, let me compare this, I can download this to the Excel and I can feed them. So we have different options to download this information post making the changes. Okay.
Okay. So if we wanted to apply measures against those, we could download them into Excel and then re-upload them back into Power BI to be able to then apply measures against different scenarios.
Yes. Yes, once you download that, you can apply different scenario measures. Like you can have your own calculated measures and apply them. And even those measures can be directly available on Power BI. And you can just import your data and update this to the source table, and your measures would automatically get updated. But what I would suggest, right, we have lot of inbuilt calculations within ValQ. So using these formulas and functions, you can generate all those calculations within the visual also as much as possible. So as a best practice, we would prefer that you do all the calculations within this visual so that you have everything at one place.
Yeah, I suppose the only challenge is thinking about the data model that you might need as well. So I see here you've got all of the years as separate columns, and I think generally in BI what we do is have year as a column, an attribute column, and then have value. Yeah. So does it support if you have a star schema data model? So you have a calendar table with your times, and then you have your dates and years, and then you have another table with account reference, and then you have your fact table that has your transactional data. Will it work well with that kind of model, or does it need to all be in kind of one flat table?
That's a good question. So we do support star schema, but there's a limited way. Now what happens, right? What do we have in the star schema? We have a transaction table flowing in. Then we have the masters which are joined using different joins where we link the masters. So once you link the masters to the transaction table, right, you can bring in any master here, and that master can be used in the category section, and we can build a tree. Even if that master is not part of the main table, but the data which is being fed should be in the columnar format. But that data which is being fed in the column format need not have all the masters. That masters can be even built through the joins, and I can have multiple tables, and I can call any of the master which is joined into the category and use it to build my tree or my plan module and templates.
Okay, sure. Yeah, I mean, I think it's quite useful I think people need to have a play and kind of try this out, because I think with the first time I saw this as well, there's a lot here. I mean, on the initial view, you've got kind of a decomposition tree combined with what if scenario planning, which is great. Two really good features of Power BI almost combined into one. So, well done on that. That's really good. But yeah, there's a lot there. And I think, so I would encourage people to kind of try the visual. And what we'll do is we've got a training material. So we've got like a PDF file that goes through step by step on how to do all of these things. So we'll share that either on email afterwards, or if people select to join the team, we can obviously do it there as well. So if people select they want to join part of that community team, we can set it up in Teams. We've got a question just about where could we find a bit more about building the model. So I think the training material will be good as well, but you've also got some material on your website, is that right?
Yes, we do have something on our website. Let me just open the website to make you understand. So the best part is that you need not go over to visualbi.com and scroll it. We give so much value for our products that we made sure that each of our product has a separate website and separate attention for each of them. So if you just go to the valq.com, right, and just come out to the resources, you have get started section, or you have the blogs and videos, and within the get started section you have the steps how to start with, and you have some sample data and tutorials. Then we have our very good webinars, and if you go to our webinars, right, we have handled all kinds of operations plannings also, like sales and operations, replenishment planning, inventory planning, production planning. There are a lot of webinars on this, so please do visit them also.
Yep. Okay, great.
And in case you have any questions, right, you can use this community, register yourself and post your questions in the community. So, and our team are definitely there to help you out, and even our customers are there to help you out. They participate a lot in the community.
How many customers have you got using this across kind of within finance?
Sorry?
Are your customers mainly kind of finance functions? Finance teams?
Yes, we do have a lot of finance functions built in. The major functions we have is that we have the PMT functions where we can identify what is the loan and what is the monthly interest, monthly payments. And I do have project financing where I'll get the cash flows, inflows, outflows, then my initial capital cost, then I can identify my IRRs, and we even do the discounted cash flows, everything. I have a model for that which I can showcase you.
Okay, great. I think just conscious of time, right. I think we're kind of at time at the moment. Is there any other kind of questions? Obviously, if anyone has any, feel free to kind of unmute yourself. But Chris, so were you?
No, I was just going to mention we were getting close to time, so you beat me to it.
Sure. All right, sure. Okay, guys, if everyone could please fill in that feedback form, I've put it in the chat there. That would be really helpful, please. And yeah, do indicate if you want to join the team, and we'll share more materials there as well. And we'll get the ValQ guys into that team as well, so they can answer any kind of questions if you want to try this out on your own data. I think that's really the only way you'll really kind of experience it with trying it yourself with your own data. I think that's probably the best thing to do. Okay, thanks very much, Harish. It's been and thanks to Jiva. Yeah, thanks everyone for joining, and we'll be in touch and we'll send out more details for the next events.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks very much. Thanks.